have more games over the weekend, but this is Kansas City Roller Warriors up against Pikes Derby Dames. So if we quickly go through the rosters for Pikes Derby Dames, we have Serious Business, Beat Her Bailey. Sorry, 0-0 Serious Business, 0-1-1 Beat Her Bailey, 0-1-3 Artemis Huntress, 1-3 Parker, 36 Dezellum, 4-1-3 Frosty Snowmean, 4-20 Destiny Blaze, 4-8-0 Winona Collider, 5-1-2 Truck Stop Trixie, 6-2-1 Zippy Longstockings, 7-4-7 Tara Flying, 8 Audi My Way, 87 Triceratops, 88 Go-Go Madness, and 98 D Blue Demon.
And the Kansas City Roller Warriors are going to field number 01 Lady Killshot, 1040 Skatal Attraction, 206 Bones, 24 Veruca Assault, 27 Bare Knuckles, 28 Sing Machine, 318 Mel Malice, 4 Jessica Boom, 41 Mayhem Myers, 5 Dizzy Astor, 5,000 Baby Buster, 601 Dixie Wolf, 77 Pebbles, 86 Black Mama the Captain, and number 913 Jamalama Ding Dong.
So we're starting to get towards the games, towards the end of the bracket. So the winner of this game will go into the semi-final, which will be Game 9, 8 a.m. on Sunday. And the loser will move to Game 7, which is at noon today.
And we've got a lead jammer already established. It's 1040. That's going to be Skatal Attraction for the Roller Warriors, grabbing first lead of the morning. So it's kind of interesting. These two teams, they had some pretty good games yesterday. And what's your reward? 8 a.m.
Both jammers are in the pack on scoring passes. Zippy Longstockings for Pikes Peak playing in the black, and it's Skatal Attraction in the white for Kansas City, who has completed a 4-point scoring pass.
Yeah, having a little bit of a broke-up pack action right now. Both teams are kind of intermixed. A lot of one-on-one, attempts here to stop, but it's actually being very successful for Kansas City.
And that has worked, as you said. Skatal Attraction completing third scoring pass. So 8 a.m. start isn't bothering Kansas City at the moment.
No, I mean, it's obvious. They came in here with a game plan right now, and I'm really impressed with coming out and really kind of, for lack of a, to put it in an aggressive sense, just kicking Pikes Peak in the teeth real quick. They're establishing themselves here immediately. Going to make Pikes Peak have to dig out of a hole.
Pikes Peak coming to bring in some offense to try and break up that Kansas City wall, but they're not able to free Zippy Longstocking, who is hit out and recycled all the way back to turn 3. Kansas City defense is, as you can tell from the scoreline, as Skatal Attraction completes, or is looking to complete their 5th scoring pass. The Kansas City defense is really strong. Zippy Longstocking finally gets out to complete that first pass. 4 points for Pikes Peak.
There were 15 seconds left on the clock when she did.
Wow.
That is, yeah. But the thing was, like I said, it wasn't like you were getting that combined, so to speak, sad place kind of defense. It was just, and I think that's what made it hard for the offense to be able to work, because who are you going to pick?
Yeah.
Once you pick one off, the other one's there to fill the gap, and there they go. So we're going to reset now for jam number 2. We did the 2 minutes. Yeah. It went a natural.
22 points for Kansas City in that first jam, playing 4 for Pikes Peak. 27.5 minutes left in this game. D Blue Demon for Pikes Peak jamming, and it's Bones for Kansas City. Yeah,
so already we're quickly into the initial apex. Packs are rolling quite fast. A lot of kind of arm checking going on in the inside there. Finally looking to make the breakout, gets the hook, and yeah, that is going to be a forearm. That arm bar came out there and got sideways, but it bought the defense time. That's one of those penalties you might be willing to accept should they be able to recreate the excess. I was going to say excess, the excess of defensive prowess they had in the first jam.
D Blue Demon, having already picked up lead before being recycled, pushes out the front, is hit to the floor on turn 1, but Bones has exited the pack, completing their first scoring pass. Not scoring pass, initial pass.
Yeah, we're just going to get the double fist there, so we're going to hold at the score we have, 4-22. So, yeah, they're actually getting into this. I mean, they don't seem like they had any problem resting last night and getting into this game.
No, I think both teams, as you say, have come out with a game plan. They've watched each other yesterday, and are looking at how they can. They're not doing that first few tentative, let's see how they work jams. They're going straight into this.
So we're going to go straight into jam number 3. That's going to bring us number 27, Bare Knuckles, out there for the Roller Warriors, and matched up wearing number 36, DeZellum, and it's going to be Pikes Peak grabbing out front, getting that lead with DeZellum.
But Bare Knuckles is not even quarter of the track behind. It is a jammer chase down. Both jammers now approaching the pack. DeZellum sneaks the 4 points, hits it and quits it. So that takes Pikes Peak to 8 points.
Yeah, already being a little bit active going to the penalty box early. We have double sits now for both squads. Of course, we have one standing now for Pikes Peak. So, you know, this, I'm sure the jammers don't mind having fewer bodies out there to deal with.
Well, we call it a mini pack. We have a mini pack on the track.
I've had somebody like to refer to it as the fun size pack. So we're going to launch into this double. That's going to be 013, the captain, Artemis Huntress. Artemis Huntress actually designated and getting a quick slap out there, coming from the pivot, strong into that turn. That was going to be Lady Killshot. Yeah, sounds all right. Got a name like Killshot, that's what you do.
So Pikes Peak able to get 3 blockers back on track, which held back the Kansas City jammer. But you could see the impact of having such a small pack on track, that we were on almost to turn 4 by the end of that jam, because in order to keep the jammers back, you have to speed up and reform in front of them.
Yeah, definitely a lot of speed play. Trying to, I mean, you know, you just, one of the best ways to not be passed is to not be passed, is to stay in front of them using the speed. And we're still continuing to have large number of skaters in the box. Kansas City with 1 blocker out there to contend. And already it's Killshot getting right into the mix, into the body there of Zippy Longstocking.
That was some excellent one-on-one blocking from Lady Killshot, but that hasn't stopped Zippy Longstocking's lead jammer for Pikes Peak.
And we now have a power jam opportunity, can possibly cut into that big lead that was established there by Kansas City in that first jam. I mean, who has been shut out since that first jam with these double releases and quick leads.
Zippy Longstocking in the pack on turn 2, but has completed scoring pass, maximizing that penalty time, but Skatel Attraction is now standing.
Yeah, and that good defense was able to get everybody out of the box. We have all available blockers out there in the mix now. They're kind of now finally starting to create a little bit of a shape, a little bit of motion out there, but quickly redivided and reset to have to corral once more. Oh, Zippy just able to just drive through the little edges that they were presenting.
Skatel Attraction has also exited the pack on their initial pass, but Zippy is in the pack now scoring points. Both jammers now in the pack scoring points, and the jam comes to an end. Skatel Attraction not able to sneak any, but Pikes Peak picking up 1 extra point on that pass. 9 points in that jam, 17 points now, playing 22 for Kansas. 23 minutes left in this half.
Yeah, already seen. I mean, it's actually a very quick game so far, and it looks like we're going to kind of have a little bit of a set rotation now. They're kind of doing a 1-2-3, 1-2-3 at this, well, possibly a 4, but yeah, so we're getting a rematch up of jam number 2, just like we had in jam number 1. It's going to be number 98, the Blue Demon, facing off against 206 Bones. And yes, able to make the step through. Lead designation is assessed to Kansas City Roller Wars, and that is Bones with a just about now a full track lead.
The Blue Demon has completed their initial pass, but Bones skates through the pack on the outside, picks up the 4 points, sees the danger, calls the jam. So that's 2 scoring passes for Kansas City, 5 points on the board. 26 points for Kansas City, 17 for Pikes Peak.
And the surprising thing is, those are the first points for Kansas City since that first jam. They've been milking that big jam for a little bit here, because once again, I think we're going to see this really active defense out of these two teams. I'm going to be surprised to see if they're going to be able to hold it up, you know, after a day like yesterday and then the early morning today. And there it is, real quick through the middle. That's going to be DeZellum. Going to have an opportunity with what appears to be a full lap lead before coming into the scoring opportunity.
Bare Knuckles still in the pack on their initial pass up front, but has now exited both jammers out of the pack. DeZellum gets the points, That's 4 for Pikes Peak. So taking them to 21 points. So, yes, that first big jam for Kansas City, which was a big statement. Yeah. But Pikes Peak have really closed that gap down. I mean, 5 jams where they've scored and Kansas City haven't.
So we're already starting to see a little bit of a change to the rotation coming into Pikes Peak. Coming into jam number 8, they're going to be fielding number 512, Truck Stop Trixie, standing there alongside Jessica Boom. As you said, Jessica Boom was pretty much the stalwart jammer for Kansas City yesterday. Got shut out in the first opportunity this morning. So we'll see what happens here. And, successful, able to turn the hips and keep that momentum going forward. Yeah. Grabs that lead jam here in number 8.
Jessica Boom was significant game changer for Kansas City yesterday. So very interested to see what she can bring today. Hit to the inside, calls the jam, and it is 3 points for Kansas City in that jam. 21 points, now playing 21.
So we're sitting pretty even right now with the score, and that kind of reflects in the lead jam status. I mean, they're kind of pretty much trading it off back and forth.
But I think the key thing was that big jam at the start, and Pikes Peak then having the momentum for 4 or 5 jams. Now the momentum is swinging tit for tat.
Well, it seems like we're seeing that after those first few jams, we're having a little bit more of a clear space over there in the penalty box. We're not seeing as many bodies going over there and having a sit. I mean, I figured you just woke up. Do you really need to go ahead and take a 30-second rest?
But we are starting with Kansas City's jammer in the penalty box. So it's a power start to Pikes Peak. And it is number 62.
It's going to be, once again, it's going to be Zippy Longstocking in the black there. It's wearing the number 621. Really getting into that defense quick. So we're seeing a little bit of a passive offense set in the apex. They're going to believe that Zippy's going to be able to drive that forward. Seeing that it got stalled out, going to go in and come in and try to pull the sweep. But this is what we saw in that first jam. Kansas City's really good about being able to reform around it, but this time not enough ability to get to the outside as lead jammer status is awarded. But there you go. That saved that 30 seconds and got your jammer out of the box and quickly through the pack. So going to put the pressure on Pikes Peak to get what they can out of this jam, knowing that Jessica Boom's going to be coming around fast.
Pikes Peak going for a goat on Kansas City, but also able to hold back Jessica Boom as she enters the rear of the pack. And we just oohed a big hit on Jessica Boom. Zippy Longstocking is in the penalty box, so we are actually in a power jam scenario for Kansas City. Good chance for Jessica Boom to open a clear lead.
Yeah, that was Zippy Longstocking trying to fight off the blocks there in turn number 4 and put a little bit of a forearm out there, and it was obviously seen by the official, so heading to the box. So we're going to trade off the power opportunities in this jam per team. Pikes Peak settled in really well now up there. They're really trying to put multi-points of contact on Jessica Boom. Oh, but man, finds a skinny spot in that defense, turns sideways and just projects forward.
But both jammers have now cleared the pack. And on scoring passes, we don't have a lead jam, so this will go to the end. The whole 4 extra seconds.
Wow, I just watched Jessica Boom come into the contact between two Pikes Peak's blockers, figuring, I'm going to split the difference there, and they held up well and just stood her up, and you could see the look in her face of almost, pain and shock of like, that was not supposed to happen when I hit you there that hard. So quick turnover of the track gives us 5 and 12, going to drive Kansas City up to 41. Pikes Peak's going to sit at 26.
17 minutes, 40 seconds left in this half.
And coming off from a sprinter stance, it's going to be number 98, the Blue Demon. The Blue Demon skated, for lack of a better, I don't mean this in a sense of emotional nature, but the best way to describe it, seemed to skate angry yesterday. Everything was very forceful and strong and very just determined. So, and
focused.
This time,
Focused.
Well, no, you could see it. The call-offs were like this big, huge, like, I am calling it off. I mean, it was just such a determined, set that it's, just one of those classic sports terms of they like to say playing angry, not necessarily in an emotional state, but just the actual just physical force and the presence is just, like, wow.
So that's 2 points for Pikes Peak, taking them to 28-41 for the Kansas City Roller Warriors. 16 minutes, 48 seconds left in this half.
So, and here we go. We're going to have DeZellem. DeZellem's been really good about getting that quick win for the lead on these, not being able to really necessarily turn it over into multi-pass runs, but then again, who really has other than that initial jam? And there it is, once again, just incredibly efficient to get through, but not the lead. That's going to be assessed to number 206, Bones, and Bones with about a fifth of the track behind says, we're going to call this. Let's take the double zeros. We're good. So this is pretty quick so far, Dork Mistress.
Very quick jams. I mean, we've had 11 jams in 14 minutes, which shows the speed that they're not playing these long. They're just getting what they need in each jam because it is still quite tight, and nobody's really running away with it yet. So they're just, let's get what we need, get on to the next jam.
So we're going to have another opportunity. Bare Knuckles there, out there alongside number 013, Artemis Huntress, the captain.
First time we've seen Artemis Huntress on the jam line, I believe. Second time.
Yeah, they're running, Pikes Peak's running that good 4 with an occasional mix-in of a different jammer, so they're going to be able to go deep to the well, and so it's going to be Kansas City grabbing the lead. That's going to be Bare Knuckles. Yeah, a lot of, it's kind of one of these ones, it's kind of a hard time to really describe what type of defense these two teams are deploying other than just pretty much kind of a loose zone, occasionally pairing up like we're having right now. Good job of trying to recalibrate that diagonal that Bare Knuckles did, looking to go for the arms, trying to get that link in the multiplayer call. Successful was Pikes Peak to not present that penalty opportunity.
But that was great work from Destiny Blaze teaming up with the other Pikes Peak Derby Dames. Just that 2-on-1 up front was exceptional blocking, and that hit out, forcing the jam to be called. 4 points for Kansas City in that jam, taking them to 45. Pikes Peak still on 28.
So, I mean, if you had to describe this game to somebody at this point, what would really be the word that comes to mind for this one?
This is the bit I'm struggling with. I think you're right that there hasn't been a clear strategy. It's been a loose zone of engagement around defense.
So already starting to establish a little more of the dominance now on the lead jammer status is Pikes Peak. Of course, that doesn't necessarily show in the scoring right now because very often it's been a double release, but we do have now an opportunity for a full lap to pack. But, like I said, just as soon as it comes into the engagement zone and scores the points, Jessica Boom out front forces the call-off, so another one and done.
But I think, that's how Kansas City are responding. Pikes Peak might be getting the lead, but Kansas City aren't letting them do anything with it, apart from maybe the 4 points. So 32 now for Pikes Peak with that 4-point pickup in the last jam. 13 minutes, 45 seconds left in this game.
Yeah, and here we go. We got another opportunity to see DeZellem. DeZellem just absolutely efficient right now on gaining that lead. Going to go up against Scale Attraction. So we're starting to see a little bit of a mix-up in the way that these teams are fielding their jammers. We had a pretty good 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of setup there in the first 8 jams or so, but now we're trying to find, and there it is.
Yeah.
DeZellem, it's just incredibly efficient. You really can't say what is being deployed to make the win. It's just...
Well, in that scenario, it went to the outside, saw the gap, but picked up so much speed that Kansas City could not reform in front of them at the front of the pack, and that's why DeZellem picked up lead.
Yeah, and yet again, though, it's another quick, get in, get what few points you can, and that's it. Yeah. And it's just 2 points. But, I mean, like I said, DeZellem, looking down to my stats, 100% lead, but, I mean, it's only coming in at I think maybe just in upwards of like 8 to 10 points total for all those jams. Yeah. I mean, you're getting basically about a 2 point, 2 point whatever, do the math on it, but it's under 3 per jam.
So we have Deep Blue Demon on the line for Pikes Peak, Bones for Kansas City. Bones hit out and recycled to the inside on turn 1. Deep Blue Demon pushing up front and pushes out of the way. Lead jammer for Pikes Peak.
I mean, it's just this compact force that you see when Deep Blue Demon comes out there. I mean, there is no... just always seems very aware. It's just right there. That call-off was like, I'm done. This is over. You know, but like I said, as you say, you know, you're a skating official. You have to appreciate that as an official. There is no mincing of actions there. You know, definitively, and I think that's what. So play is very well defined.
Sorry for talking over you there. 3 points for Pikes Peak on that last jam, taking them to 37. So we've seen these last few jams, just those 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, closing down that gap. So Kansas City have been relying on these big multi-scoring jams. Truck Stop Trixie has picked up lead for Pikes Peak straight out of the pack in, I think, 4 seconds. And the inside line was left wide open, but picks up a cut track.
Just took a little bit of extra of that inside line to get through. And, I mean, you figured this might be the moment that Pikes Peak was going to really be able to open it up because, I mean, just so much speed out of Truck Stop coming through on that. I mean, it looked like it was definitely going to be a two lead advantage prior to that cut. But
Bare Knuckles now on a scoring pass in the pack for Kansas City.
Yeah, Bare Knuckles, once again, you know, coming in here, only 4 points in the jams because when the opportunity comes to get the lead, the points aren't coming because you're seeing it right now. Getting an opportunity for the deep recycle here.
Yeah.
Everybody following suit as well. Oh, and a nice trade-off there at the end. A skater coming from out of bounds into play who actually carried it a little bit further.
I mean, that was a huge recycle for Bare Knuckles, and it has essentially killed that penalty time because Truck Stop Trixie is back on track up front, pushing in front against a wall of Kansas City blockers. Truck Stop played last night in the last game, playing again this morning in the first game.
Right. Actually did play in the B game as well.
Yeah. So, brushes off that hit, bounces back up off their toe stops to complete for 4 points. Yeah. So, Kansas City had a penalty, had a power jam, and have yet to complete that 4-point scoring pass. And that's another big hit and recycle on Bare Knuckles. And Pikes Peak have, and it's Bare Knuckles picking up a cut track penalty. So we are again in a power jam situation for Pikes Peak.
Yep. You know, the interesting thing is generally speaking, if you're going to see a team going with like some of the big hits that both these teams are doing right now, it usually opens up a little bit more floor. But it seems like what both teams are doing are trying to deploy a little bit of a set them up, knock them down. So you've got at least the control aspect prior to the hit. So whereas you normally would see the big hit and it's like, space opens up, I sidestep it, I can cut back and get it. It's not there because they're already ready and waiting. But there is definitely an attempt to put a little bit of punishment out here for some of these jammers. How dare you take my point?
We are in it is, I'm just having a look, it is an official review. So in that last jam, Pikes Peak Derby Dames scored 11 points, taking them to 48. Kansas City 2 to 47. So we have a lead change with 9 minutes left in this half. And I'm just checking who called the official review. It's an official review as a timeout.
Interesting. I don't dislike that. I am a little. I really do hope that they at least tried to get a little bit more out of it by going in at least, hey, can we recheck the penalties? You know, I'm saying this, you know, something just to get it a little past a minute so it makes it a little more worth it. But, yeah, when I coached, I was loath to use one of my team timeouts in the first half. I always felt like I lost something when I did that.
And with 9 minutes left in the half, you know, it is an option to use that official review. So, and I'm very pleased that we now have the hand signal to make it easier for us announcers to know that that's what's happening with the official review.
So a quick shout out to our officials, though. Our skating officials are Shanksy, Adam Smasher, Dilligaff, RDFM, Vanilla Vice, Super Saiyan 5, and Anakin Sky Skater.
And our non-skating officials are Amy Farrell Fowler, Flourish and Blocks, Jurassic Snark, Sweet Tart, Nova, Molly Slamming, Doc Skinner, LBJ, Dawn of the Dead, and Dr. Dreidel.
So that's going to be Zippy Longstocking, the lone jammer on the floor, and also lead Pikes Peak. So will Pikes Peak be able to turn this power jam opportunity into an advancement here greater than the single point that separates them?
Pikes Peak with a blocker to the box, and they already have their pivot in there, so this is a definite pack advantage to Kansas City, but they aren't able to keep back Zippy Longstocking, who has completed their first scoring pass.
Oh, but see, there went a little bit of a loss coming out of the box. Bare Knuckles able to make an easy pass to at least start getting on the scoring run, ending that scoring opportunity for Pikes Peak. Yeah, I hate seeing that. That is one of those things I really hate seeing. It's like you get so focused on trying to get the points for your team and that power opportunity, you lose track of the jammer. But, I mean, you've been around Derby a long time. You see it happen a lot.
Oh, absolutely. The amount of times that as a blocker you're so focused on what your job is at the moment, you're not thinking who's about to come out of the box. 6 points for Pikes Peak in that jam, taking them to 54. They now have a 8 point lead over Kansas City.
I'm gonna say it. I love the way the Blue Demon approaches the game. I mean, that sprinter stance, that it just everything says I am in the moment and I am on point for this game. But the win goes to number 4, Jessica Boom, using the toe stops and that little bit of leg length to tiptoe past the blocker on the straightaway. Full lap lead now, and able to clear the pack past the opposing jammer. So now have an opportunity for Kansas City to kind of take that run that Pikes Peak has been making and say, well, okay, we got something back for you.
Yeah, that swing of momentum back to Kansas City. I mean, Jessica Boom brushing off because Pikes Peak, not with a full wall. That was a one-on-one block. That was number 13 Parker with that massive block to Jessica Boom, but also went off, so Jessica Boom was able to skate on. And that is Jessica's second scoring pass, now approaching the pack for the third. But Serious Business is now out of the pack, approaching for the scoring pass.
Oh, and does appear maybe that skate went out of bounds prior to passing 601 there at the back, Dixie Wolf, but potentially has a point in the pocket, which every pivot who has to jam feels at least it's worth it if I can get some points into this.
Yeah. And Serious Business attempting the block on Jessica Boom, who brushes it off to push up front. Serious Business able to get through with some offense from her blockers, and that is a first scoring pass for Pikes Peak. So 4 points in that jam, 58, but it was 15 points for Jessica Boom of Kansas City, taking them to 62. So that is our second lead change of the game.
Yeah, and I kind of like that. I mean, as a coach, I always liked at least seeing what a pivot has in their arsenal when they have to jam, because sometimes you get the pivot who just starts to feel a little pressure, especially after a multi-pass run from the previous jammer, that you're kind of, you kind of got to get something out of it. But good job by Serious Business to not fall into that trap and stay on the track and get 4 points. And there it is again. DeZellum, quick, efficient, lead, done.
Yeah. Yeah, I've started watching since you've been raving about DeZellum, and I completely agree. Just does the job. Skatel Attraction also out of the pack from their initial pass. So DeZellum with a big hit, and actually the pack passed them. Both jammers were approaching the pack, so DeZellum called it off, and that is 3 points for Pikes Peak. 61 points. Now playing 62 for Kansas City. 5 minutes left in this half. This has been the last few jams have been either way, to and fro. Momentum swinging side to side. It could be anybody's game at this moment.
Well, and it's one of the things I've been noticing all weekend long. There's a lot of discipline out of the teams that are out here. They know it's like one false move could end up ending the game for them. Yeah. So it's just keeping that patience. And another good, quick win there coming for Pikes Peak All-Stars. Just a quick step through there from the captain, Artemis Huntress.
And that's solid defense up front from Pikes Peak, holding back Bones. Huntress now scoring points in the pack. And it's, I think that's an out-of-play block for Pikes Peak, which has let Bones through. And that forces the jam to be called. So again, and I think quick. So Pikes Peak have had 13 lead jams. Kansas City only 5. But the points per jam just for Pikes Peak are 3.2. So they're just not able to do more than, not even a full scoring pass. No,
I mean, it's that's what I'm saying. In the early goings, it was like just an under 3 type of go. They had, of course, they've now finally added in that 11 point and a 6 point. So you've had some, double passes out here, but it's just the inability to, recalibrate and try to come in and get those multi-passes where Kansas City, when they're getting that opportunity, they're taking it. Because they're not getting the lead.
64 points for Pikes Peak, now in the lead for those 3 points. Kansas City on 62. So third lead change of the game.
Yeah, I'm I knew this. We both kind of got on this game because we wanted to be able to work together. Because I mean, that's what we do. But I knew when I looked at the matchup, I was like, oh, this is going to be just absolutely just a pleasant experience because these two teams are going to come and bring the game that I am seeing, and I get to share it alongside you because it's just a fun game to have somebody two teams that are really bringing it and somebody else who can bring it with me on the microphone is just tremendously fun.
So 13 jams for Pikes Peak as lead, only 4 of those with multiple scoring passes. We're back on track with Zippy Longstockings for Pikes Peak, Jessica Boom for Kansas City. Oh, a huge hit from Pikes Peak. Puts Jessica Boom on the floor, but she's up and pushing out front. Lead jammer for Jessica Boom. I mean, this is what we saw yesterday. Just such a solid, secure blocker, just a jammer, just so strong that can brush off massive hits.
Oh, a little surprise there. I thought there might have been a charging penalty assessed to Jamalama Ding Dong there. Made contact with the jammer. Zippy Longstocking is trying to rise from the floor, but I do believe did have hands off the floor, so technically upright and in play. Awkward, but upright and in play. But you got to like the effort to make sure you're going to re-corral because it's been successful now. That re-corral that Jamalama Ding Dong did is held in play, the jammer, so now we're getting the multi-pass run again from Kansas City.
But Jessica Boom now on third scoring pass. Little apex job. Great offense from her blockers. The crowd really getting behind this jam. But Zippy Longstockings still struggling at the back of the pack, at the back of that Kansas City wall. And we're on the apex between turns 1 and 2. Jessica Boom up front. Hit out and recycled.
Yeah, just continuing to see, and a lot of times now it's Kansas City. It's just a lot of one-on-one right now.
Yeah.
Which historically, out of two well-played even teams, tends to not be the better strategy. But it's really working for them because they're able to re-corral and get in there. But it's not just the one-on-one, but they're getting the one-on-one with a little bit of up and under. So it's taking that quick first step away from Zippy Longstocking. Oh, and a late hit. Not past the whistle, still within the whistles, but that's still one that you're going to feel when you have to go back to the bench.
That was a ginormous hit, but 15 points for Kansas City Roller Warriors, taking them to 77 points and taking the lead. 64 points for Pikes Peak. Jessica Boom has that ability to just multiple scoring passes and change up that game.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have a favorite now. I absolutely adore the way Deep Blue Demon approaches the game. I mean, it's just I like seeing players who are absolutely present in the moment. They have a game plan and they're going to try and execute it. Now, Kansas City is going to say otherwise right now because that defense is getting bent, but they are not breaking. They are holding their pack together, even getting down onto the deck and coming back up. They are reforming. They know they have to corral this jammer, because it isn't going to be a juke move. It's going to be a power move. But the power goes in hands for Kansas City as Skatal Attraction is now your lead jammer.
But Deep Blue Demon has exited the pack on their initial pass, just as Skatal Attraction is scoring points, pushing out up front, being chased down by that's number 8 who picked up the penalty, Audi My Way. And that was an out-of-play penalty. So Skatal Attraction completing for 4 points and approaching now for the second pass. Deep Blue Demon just having to push behind that tripod of Kansas City at the back, not able to move them.
And they're doing a nice little trap here. They're letting Deep Blue Demon get just enough into the body to feel like you're going to get the win, but actually corralling it. And the low block getting assessed, but Deep Blue Demon still finds another blocker to just get in the way. Interesting move there from the pivot, staying down on the floor to not potentially create a no-pack situation or divide the pack as they were engaged there. So, I love seeing smart moves like that where we realize, if I get back up, I might cause a pack problem.
So that last jam, Pikes Peak picked up 4 points.
We're at intermission.
Yeah.
That happened fast.
10 points for Kansas City. So 68 for Pikes Peak. Now playing 87 for Kansas City. We are at intermission. So we would say see you back in 14 and a half minutes, but you're on YouTube, so it'll be instant. So that first half has got so much fun to watch. I mean, you've got 4 lead changes. You've seen multiple different styles of play. We've seen great skill, huge defense. So it's been fantastic first half.
Yeah, it's been amazing. So we're going to kind of suss out what got us to this point, and we'll come back to you when the second half resumes, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of that statistical information. So that was one heck of a first half.
Yep. Welcome back to Game 5 of the tournament. It is the first game of Day 2 of Clover Cup here at North Richland Hills in Dallas, Texas, home of the Dallas Derby Devils. And yeah, welcome back after that first half. We needed a breather and a calm down in a room for the intermission, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said. I mean, we just got in on this game, and it started happening so fast. Keeping track of it became,
So, interesting story in the first half. Pikes Peak having 14 lead jams. Kansas City only 8. But Pikes Peak, we saw lots of single pass jams. So, Zippy Longstocking, for example, 28 points is the largest scorer. DeZellum, 80% lead jammer and 13 points total score. But you look at Kansas City, Jessica Boom, 50% lead, but 49 points. And then Skatel Attraction, close behind, 32 points. So those 2 jammers responsible for almost all of their points. And it's those big multiple passes from Kansas City that have put them in the lead. But Pikes Peak keeping in contention with a number of lead jams, and 4-point or 3-point jams are able to pull off. How did you feel, Speaker?
Well, I mean, the interesting thing was, it was 3-2 on the jammer penalties. Kansas City had more, but it was just the way in which that whenever you started to see Kansas City get a bit of a run going on, I will say it seems like the defense got a little tense for Pikes Peak. They got a little more focused on the offense and sometimes forgot about the jammer giving those multi-pass opportunities.
And quick update on the penalties. Nobody in serious trouble. Pikes Peak with a total of 13 penalties. Kansas City with 20. We saw a lot in the first few minutes, and then it calmed down. Lady Killshot for Kansas City on 4. And we've got a couple of Pikes Peak blockers. Parker, Winona Collider on 3. And Pebbles for Kansas City on 3. But nothing that would really concern me at this stage.
So we're going to have Skatel Attraction out there for Kansas City and DeZellum out there for Pikes Peak. Just about thought DeZellum got that quick win, as has been the case. Good offense coming up front. Lead help with Audie My Way to get that lead jam status.
I mean, we talked about DeZellum in the first half. Not a showy jammer, but so efficient and effective that you just like that. That's just got its own beauty. But we also see Skatel Attraction exiting the pack, completing their scoring pass. DeZellum sees the danger, calls the jam, picks up the 3 points. Yet again, Kansas City denying Pikes Peak the multiple scoring pass that they want. 71 points for Pikes Peak, closing down that gap. It's now a 16-point game.
Yeah, that was it. That's what I was talking about. It was just the fact that it's efficient, but cannot get that multi-pass opportunity. And I don't know if it's necessarily, it might be the jammer that she's matched up against when she goes out there, or it might be the defense, is incorporated out there with her. But they run great offense when she's out there. Yeah,
I think it's that Pikes Peak defense isn't able to keep back the Kansas City jammers long enough to allow those multiple passes. And I think, Kansas City have, when they are able to hold back the Pikes Peak jammers, are able to do that for longer, which allows that multiple passes. So that's what Pikes Peak need to do in this half, is really hold back. Bones on the jam line up against Artemis Huntress, and it is Artemis Huntress who came out first, but Bones is in the lead. So we have a jammer race. Artemis Huntress calls off the jam. That's what is it you call it? A double.
Oh, I mean, sometimes I've gotten multiples for it. I call it a push, a double fist.
Yes.
Yeah.
So neither
put up
team
blanks. There's lots of them.
So neither team picking up points in that jam.
Yeah, and that's actually surprisingly enough, that's only the third time that's actually occurred too. So
it's
generally,
like that's happened more. Yeah. So Zippy Longstockings for Pikes Peak up against Bare Knuckles for Kansas City, and we have a really tight pack up around the pivot line. but it's a hit out and recycle on Bare Knuckles, still on the pivot line. Zippy Longstockings pushing up on turn 1 against a threesome of Kansas City Roller Warriors. But that's going to have to go down to 2. Kansas has 1 in the box. Zippy Longstockings gets through the pack, was hit to the ground but managed to stay in track, got up, and it is lead jammer. Bare Knuckles completes a star pass, and it is now number 5, Dizzy Asta, who is lead jammer for Kansas City, has exited the pack, approaching now for points. Zippy Longstockings playing this long, and gets a gap on the inside, is hit out to the outside on turn 4 and is recycled. But Dizzy Asta gets out and completes for 4 points.
Yeah, continuing to see this grind its way out as Kansas City finally freeing the box of their skaters, so they're going to continue this next jam 4v4, unless there's a late penalty, because there was a lot of action there. But no, it looks like we're going to start with the clear bench. 2 jammers, all skaters available. Yeah, and that's another one. A lot of action happening all the way around the track.
So 79 points for Pikes Peak, 8 in that last jam, 91 for Kansas City. So that is now a 12-point game, 26 minutes left in this half on the jam line. We have Jessica Boom for Kansas City up against, I think that is D Blue Demon, yes.
Yeah, it's already having a strong showing here in the second half. 3 in a row now going for Pikes Peak, grabbing that lead jammer status. Of course, Jessica Boom trying to get that defense pushed a little further out to break it, but it looks like, nope, and they get the double. Oh, I was about to say about to have a double release. Thought D Blue Demon was going to follow, but did not. So now we've got about a full lap lead coming into the pack for Jessica Boom.
Jessica Boom approaching the pack on a scoring pass. D Blue Demon having a tough time against Kansas City, who are able to reform in front, getting some offense from number 4 Destiny Blaze, but isn't able to free up Jessica Boom through.
Yeah, and here's what it is we were talking about. They're having to change directions from offense to defense, having a little bit of issue with that for Pikes Peak when these long runs start to occur. Early in the going, D Blue Demon was getting a lead jam status fairly well, but now having a much harder time of it since about midway through, and we're going to have that star pass coming onto the helmet now. 00 serious business.
Yes, but Jessica Boom now on her 4th scoring pass in the pack. And I think you're right. It's this inconsistency from the defense. They can either hold back the Kansas City Jammer or they can't. And there needs to be more consistency. Serious Business has managed to get out of the pack. Jessica Boom sees the danger and calls the jam. I was going to say sees the damage.
Well, and like I said, you know, they're already a 3-1 advantage on lead here in this second half, but there it is. It's that 14 points. When they get the lead, Kansas City is owning it.
79 for Pikes Peak, 105 for Kansas City now. So this is a 26-point game. 24 minutes left in this game, but that is still nothing. We've seen bigger points differentials come back from. So
I think
it's going to go either way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be this jammer here, DeZellum, is going to make the difference for Pikes Peak if they're going to really assert themselves, because DeZellum just gets lead, but can't get points.
But we have Skater Attraction jamming for Kansas City, who is still on turn 1, having to push all 4 Pikes Peak blockers out, trying to push them out of play. And, you know, that's just tiring. That is hard work. But DeZellum is on a scoring pass and has broken out of the pack, but so has Skater Attraction, forcing the call-off. 4-point jam.
I'm going to be interested to see if they're going to finally give DeZellum a little bit more lead time to go out and try and get multi-passes. If they're going to just go ahead and let her own her lead for a little bit and not just do the one-and-dones.
But I think that... But looking at that jam, this is where we talked about Pikes Peak defense.
Yeah.
All 4 of them did move when Skater Attraction was pushing. And you shouldn't be doing that, because you can get pushed out of play. You can then let the jammer out, and that's what stopped Dizellum from having a second scoring pass. Truck Stop Trixie on the line for Pikes Peak. Bones for Kansas City Warriors. And as we said, Truck Stop was a highlight jammer yesterday. Hasn't been played as much in this game.
No, and you can see it, that little picking part to get through right there. That may be one of the key things here, and it's going to be what she can do when she gets back in, and obviously only have a full lap lead here as the break has been made by Bones.
Yeah. But skates around the outside. That was beautiful. Hitting it and quitting it. So 4 points for Pikes Peak, taking them to 87 points, 105 for Kansas City. So that is, while I quickly do the maths in my head, a 22 point... No, I can't do the maths in my head. It is far too early. 18 points. Our lovely producer RPG is pointing out where I should be looking as opposed to trying to do the maths in my head.
Oh, yeah, let her do the math for you.
Oh, yeah. So Zippy Long Stockings jamming for Pikes Peak up against Jessica Boom. Jessica has been, as yesterday, that multiple scoring pass, highest scoring jammer in this game. 63 points so far.
Yeah, and it's 9 points per jam, so that's telling you every time she's getting a chance to score, it is multiple opportunities. And quite frankly, a lot of them are coming where the initial may have a little bit of difficulty, but the follow-ups look fairly easy. But
Pikes Peak defense holding strong in front of Jessica Boom on the apex. And Zippy Longstockings has found a gap on the outside. Lead jammer for Pikes Peak.
So, yeah, that's already, 6 out of the first 7 leads here in the second half. So, I mean, they have been just absolutely on top of getting that lead jammer stats, but cannot parlay it into the multi-passes.
Nope, Jessica Boom also out, now approaching the pack for points as Zippy Longstocking is hit out and recycled. 2 points for Pikes Peak. So not even the full 4 points. The Kansas City weren't going to let them have the full 4. So no points for Kansas City, 105. Pikes Peak now on 89 points.
Yeah, definitely both teams settled in here, not seeing as many people going off to the penalty box, so they're kind of staying on the track. So I think it's why we're also seeing a little bit more difficulty, for the Pikes Peak players once they get it. It's because there's bodies in your way. Yeah. It's a simple game. That's a simple math game. 4 is going to be harder against 1.
Artemis Huntress on the jam line for Pikes Peak. Skater Attraction for Kansas City. And it's Artemis Huntress who breaks out front, but is hit out on turn 1 and isn't recycled. They don't run back, so she is pushing out front. 1 block to go. Lead jammer for Artemis Huntress. Skater Attraction finds the gap on the inside. Again, less than half the track behind.
Yeah, that time Black Mama, the captain, really good job of sealing up an edge on the inside to allow the jammer to get through, to get onto this opportunity.
Artemis Huntress hit to the floor, forced to call off that jam. 3 points for Pikes Peak. And so 92 points for Pikes Peak, 105 for Kansas City.
So here's an interesting little thing in this. So far in the second half, only 2 times has Pikes Peak been shut out of scoring points, and only 2 times has Kansas City actually scored points in jams in this one. And yet, it's really one of those odd games.
Yeah. Well, I think it's not so much odd as it's just showing where when Pikes Peak go back and look at the footage, this is what they should be looking at. Why are they not able to hold those jammers back? Why are they only getting the single scoring passes? What do they need to change up to lock down Skater Attraction and Jessica Boom?
Well, and to be fair too, one of the things I've really seen as well, and it's one of the things I've noticed, but it locked in that time. Kansas City, when they do turn to their offense, it's really efficient and clean. It's not a lot of big sweepy people. It's not a lot of pulling people out of walls. It's literally just pinned down. There's your spot. And the jammers are really quick to recognize it.
Yeah. And I think that's probably something Pikes Peak haven't done as effectively in this game. We did have a team timeout, and that was Pikes Peak who called that. And we have just come to an end.
No, I'm sorry. I was just really shocked. We have Lady Killshot now out on the jammer line for Kansas City. Been really running as a strong pivot.
We did see that in the games yesterday, but DeZellem, as the jammer for Pikes Peak, has come out as lead, and I think you've got a little bit of a jammer crush going on now.
It's not so much a crush as it is. It's just I just absolutely like efficiency.
Yeah. So again, DeZellem not able to complete multiple scoring passes, hits it and quits it, forced to by Kansas City jammer Lady Killshot, as you said, getting out. I mean, I know we keep saying that, but this is the story of the game. So Pikes Peak picking up 4 points, taking them to 96, Kansas City on 105. So now it's just 9 points between the two teams. But what we've seen is Kansas City will put multiple passes, get a big lead. Pikes Peak gobble that lead up slowly. Truck Stop Trixie on the jam line for Pikes Peak. Bones for Kansas City.
Yeah, and Bones really doesn't have the offensive efficiency out there either. So, it's only two lead wins out of 8 jams coming into this one. And yet, again, it is just absolutely dominating right now by Pikes Peak. I mean, 10 jams, 9 leads.
However, they haven't been able to close that gap up, but... And you see that Bones now exiting the pack on their initial pass. Truck Stop Trixie scoring points, gets through, is forced to call the jam. I feel just deja vu coming on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and it's this thing I've been seeing from a lot of the teams here in this tournament. There are a lot of really well-disciplined teams here. I mean, incredibly disciplined. You don't see panic. You don't see anybody trying to do more than they should. It's just like, we have a program. We know what we do. Let's just go out and do it a little bit better this time.
So Pikes Peak picking up the 4 and breaking the 100, now just 5 points behind Kansas City. 17 minutes left in this game. And we said it could go either way. It still can go either way. Jessica Boom on the jam line for Kansas City, up against Zippy Longstocky, for Pikes Peak. But it's Jessica Boom out for lead, but Zippy is half the track behind and going fast, eating up that gap.
Well, that time Pikes Peak was able to turn their offense a lot more quickly against Kansas City to get that breakout.
Jessica Boom hit to the outside, kept toe stops on the line, managed to keep body in the track, and was able to just.
Yeah, and Kansas City going ahead and run this long now. Gonna go ahead and say, sure, we'll let you stay out there, but we're going to get our points. And, not quite able to keep on the toe stops there in front of us was Zippy Longstocking. And there goes that next pass out there for Jessica Boom.
Yeah. And, Kansas City haven't scored in how many jams? 6 jams?
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, they've been shut out for quite a while. But, see, here's the thing. I've been noticing now in the most recent, when the penalties are coming against Kansas City, they're what they're called the useful penalties.
Yeah.
You're putting the jammer on the deck. They're having to take a long recycle, and that's buying you time. And a track cut, though, is now going to give an opportunity to eat back into those multi-passes from Jessica Boom.
Yeah.
So lead is gone, and so is the jammer.
Yeah. And I think that's, that is a real benefit for Pikes Peak, because we've seen Jessica Boom be dangerous, racking up 20, 24-point jams. Zippy Longstocking able to find that inside line to make it out. 4 points.
Yeah, that was good offense there coming from Pikes Peak. They sealed the edge and then caught the runner, so nobody able to leak out and recatch Zippy Longstocking on the edge.
But Jessica Boom is out of the box and back on track. Zippy Longstocking pushing up front on the apex between 1 and 2. The jam comes to a natural end, and it is... we're just waiting to see all the points. 7 points for Pikes Peak, but 12 for Kansas City. 107 for Pikes Peak, 117 for Kansas City. I can do those maths. That's 10 points. And we have 15 minutes left in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this settles out, though, with the back and forth.
But Pikes Peak's picking up a multiple scoring pass only because of that penalty on Jessica Boom.
Yeah, and that's where it's come. If you go back and look and where the penalties have occurred, then you see the 7-12s, the 4, 15s, those types of things going back and forth. But wow, now we're actually seeing an opportunity where DeZellem's actually having a tough time making it through to get that lead. Oh, well, okay, we're going to wait and make it at turn 2 instead of turn 1. So there you go.
Yeah. And it's Skatal Attraction for Kansas City, who is on turn 3, brushing off that big block to get out. But DeZellem is back scoring points in the pack. just on turn 4. And that's some very fluid and track-wide defense from Kansas City, but they can't hold DeZellem back. And in a surprise to probably none of you, 4 points for Pikes Peak. DeZellem forced to call off that jam by Kansas City. 1-1-1 for Pikes Peak, 1-1-7 for Kansas City.
Yeah, and that time, once again, it was Lady Killshot out there as the end of the line defense for Kansas City, able to hold it back. Not necessarily, I mean, gave up the point, but also bought time for the jammer to get back in there to force the call off.
Yep. So we have Truck Stop Trixie for Pikes Peak up against Bones for Kansas City. Truck Stop Trixie hit out and recycled behind the jam line, and it's Bones pushing out up front. And Bones has just one blocker ahead. But Truck Stop Trixie breaks out on the outside, lead jammer for Pikes Peak. But Bones is 10 feet behind.
Yeah, and once again, Bones not having a good game here as far as getting the points. But we have seen this, not getting lead, but at least having the opportunity to get in there and shorten the time that the opposing jammer has in their scoring opportunity.
Smart blocking by Pikes Peak, making sure that they do pick up points. They pick up 2. Kansas City did sneak a point in that last second of the game. So 1-1-3 now playing 1-1-8 for Kansas City. So Pikes Peak just 5 points behind with 12 minutes to go.
So I'm really interested that I think this move by Kansas City, just using their OR in the first half for a timeout for just to settle, is going to leave them with they've got a full 3 up there on the board while Pikes Peak has 2 in their OR.
Yeah.
So, that may play into it here as we come down to the crunch time, as these jammers are now re-engaged in 2 very steady, strong packs.
So we have D Blue Demon for Pikes Peak up against Bare Knuckles for Kansas City. And it is D Blue Demon out for lead. And Bare Knuckles still in the pack on turn 2. Getting some offense from the Kansas City blockers. But it's a cut track penalty for number 77, Pebbles.
Yeah, and that could prove to be one of these breakout moments for Pikes Peak, because Bare Knuckles has had a very difficult time this afternoon. They have had to do the star pass a couple of times. Yeah. Able to actually break through finally on this one.
So D Blue Demon approaching the pack for second scoring pass. So this is quite exciting for us all. But Bare Knuckles also approaching us to pick up points. But D Blue Demon makes it out, picks up for the 8, calls the jam. And Kansas City, though, only picking up 3. So, that was worth it. That was an extra point for Pikes Peak. And when we're so close, it's worth it, because now it is a tied game, 121 to 121.
You know what? I'm going to have to go as a coach there. If that was your intent to go ahead and just do the one pass and be done, you had the opportunity to take your 4 and freeze them out. Once you let that jammer engage, to me, with the difficulty that Bare Knuckles has had getting through, I would have decided to go ahead and take another pass at it to go ahead and get that, because it was already locked back in on the back of that defense. So while getting the 3 points was not getting out, and your jammer was already out of the front, ready to be able to come back around. So I would have liked to have seen that one go a little bit longer once that occurred.
Yeah. No, I think that would have been a smart tactic. So we're in a team timeout, so a chance to talk about Kaya Skates, setting new standards in Derby Park and lifestyle roller skates. Now taking orders for the Kaya Kismet, the perfect park skates, for $229.
And we got RollerCon, 13 tracks, 200 games, 2 tournaments, 4 rule sets, a skate park, hundreds of coaches and classes, plus parties and 24-hour access to the pool. That's at RollerCon in Las Vegas.
So it's not really a surprise that Kansas City took a timeout at that moment, because they'll want to take that momentum away from Pikes Peak. And, we're in a tied game, which is really exciting. Artemis Huntress on the jam line for Pikes Peak. Skatel Attraction for Kansas City.
Yeah, at some point, Kansas City is going to have to start getting that lead jammer status. It has been, and there it is, once again, absolutely being owned by Pikes Peak. Not only for the whole game, but this second half has just been a lesson. We are at 13 to 2 now in the second half.
But that's Frosty Snowman with that excellent holdback of Skatel Attraction. But again, not going to be able to give more than one scoring pass. Yeah. So 4 points for Pikes Peak, putting them in the lead. 125 now playing 1-2-1. And, you know, we keep talking about this, but I think we're still seeing it. Pikes Peak defense needs to hold back the Kansas City Roller Warriors.
Buy them a little more time.
Buy them a little bit more time. Get them the multiple passes if they're going to win this game. Because we know that Kansas City, putting Jessica Boom on the track, there is every potential this could be a 20-point jam for Kansas City.
Oh, but I like the move right now of DeZellem being out there opposite. DeZellem has just been an absolute lead machine out here, and so you can negate the opposing top scorer, and it looks like, yes, once again, lead going to DeZellem.
Yeah. But Jessica Boom out on turn 2, also out of the pack. DeZellem has about half the track. Is talking to her blockers to try and get some points, and is forced to call it off by Jessica Boom approaching. And it is, we're waiting to see the number of points. The jam ref is just consulting the OPRs. That is none for Kansas City, and it is, we're all waiting to see. It is 1 point for Pikes Peak.
All that drama waiting for the 1 point. That was a great move at the end there by number 5,000 Baby Buster for Kansas City to actually catch DeZellem on the hip and just stall out to force that call off. It was a really well-timed placement.
So Truck Stop Trixie up against Bones. Truck Stop Trixie also very agile jammer, but been successful at getting lead, but has picked up it is a forearms penalty for Truck Stop Trixie. So this is an opportunity for Kansas City to take back the lead and give them that cushion that Pikes Peak will have to work hard to sort of close down.
Yeah, that's and this is, giving Bones an opportunity to grab lead. Has not had this very often, but now there we go. Already we got the first clean pass through, quick, on an opportunity to keep that speed and that momentum to turn it around to get back into this once again fast.
Pikes Peak with only 3 blockers on track and some great offense from Kansas, not letting them form a wall. As Bones is on that second scoring pass, but it's a hit out and recycle. But Truck Stop Trixie already back on track and pushing out front, but the jam comes to an end. So
wow, I'm a little surprised at calling that jam, because Truck Stop just came out of the box, had not made a pass to the pack. That time could have gone in your favor for Kansas City with your lead, and man,
however, Kansas City picked up 6 points. So that is 127. Pikes Peak on 126. We have our 6th lead change of the game. I mean, it's not enough,
No, there's just no. And here in the last little bit, there's been some coaching decisions made that I'm a little, as a former coach, gets my heart a little like, oh, don't do that, please. But yeah, here we go. We got lead status, 2 in a row now. Rare moment for Kansas City, as that's 10-24 Skatel Attraction now full lap lead on the opposing jammer.
But it is a helmet cover stash for DeZellem, gets them through the pack, and now approaching the pack, scoring points. But Skatel Attraction sees that danger, calls the jam. 4 points for Kansas City. So great work from Pikes Peak to only let Kansas City have 1 scoring pass, and it is a timeout. It's a team timeout called by Pikes Peak. And probably a good time for Pikes Peak to call that timeout. Very much trying to, Kansas City picking up those last couple of jams. They're going to want to swing the momentum back their way.
So here's an interesting thing. We've had 18 jams in the half. Only 6 times has Kansas City scored in this half, but 3 of those have been multi-passes. Yeah. So there you go. I mean, half, and in the other ones, they've basically been able to max score all blockers. Yeah. So they're not leaving points out there on the track.
Yeah.
So that's what we're saying. It's that efficiency. When they get the opportunity, they're getting what they can out of it. Yeah. So you know what? You're going to get the most out of your pads if you buy them from Pro Design. They've been in operation since 1986. They continue to manufacture 100% USA-made, world-class protective products right out of Houston, Texas. Texas built, Texas tough, and what's that say there?
It says, all right, and yee-haw from Texas.
I've been waiting to hear that all weekend long. I wanted to hear that Welsh yee-haw.
We're back to the game. Artemis Huntress from Pikes Peak, Jessica Boom from Kansas City on the jam line. And it's it's a scrum up on turn 1. Tight pack, but it is Artemis Huntress pushing out up front. Just one blocker to go. Lead jammer, but Jessica Boom right behind, probably 20 feet behind Artemis Huntress.
I really loved how hard Artemis Huntress just ran through the contact there to keep on the steady forward. Flips the hips, but what do we see? Oh,
we're just watching to see what happened. It was 4 points for Pikes Peak, 1 point for Kansas City. So 130 points for Pikes Peak, 132 for Kansas City. 6 minutes left to go in this game.
That's that awareness that we just saw from Jessica Boom. Knows every single point matters. An
official timeout just been called. And it is a penalty for Jessica Boom. I thought that might happen, so at the end of the jam, there was still engagement after the fourth whistle.
Well, and so there it is. It's just taking that one extra step a little too far.
Yeah.
So now that 1 point is worth a trip to the box.
Yeah. So we are on a power start, and it is Zippy Longstockings for Pikes Peak. Pack started right on the pivot line and is now on the apex.
You know, I wouldn't be remiss to see Kansas City try to play a little bit of a speed game here. They've done really well at a lot of one-on-one blocking and maybe keep space away from that Pikes Peak offense.
That Pikes Peak offense coming in hard to try and get Zippy out first, but it is number 5, Dizzy Astor, who picks up a low block as Zippy goes back all the way to turn 3.
Yeah, but that's going to be a useful penalty right there. That just bought you a lot of time, and now your jammer's out of the box. Those are those penalties I think that are well worth it.
So Jessica Boom back on track. Lead. So Zippy Longstockings took 30 seconds to get lead, but Jessica Boom sent back to the box for a cut track penalty.
Oh, I think we might have a little bit of confusion here. The jam ref is calling the track cut. The OPR was calling a no pass. But so I think we're going to let the track cut stand.
Yeah. And Zippy Longstockings stays on their skates to complete that scoring pass. But we have just 3 Kansas City blockers on track. And three Pikes Peaks to give Zippy some offense.
Once again, Kansas City doing a good job of trying to flex around that offense. Pikes Peak. And one blocker to beat. That's going to be Kill Shot. Trying to get in there and get up under. Does a successful dig under, and they've recaptured.
Yeah. Jessica Boom is back on track from the penalty box. So we have both jammers on track. Jessica on her initial pass. But Zippy Longstocking struggling to get through because that Kansas City defense is just reforming and is forced to call off the jam. So we had a minute of jammer penalties for Kansas City, and Pikes Peak only able to pick up 4 points in that jam. That's great defense from Kansas City. 8 points, sorry. It was 2 scoring passes. So we're in a team timeout, which has been called. I'm trying to see who's called it. It's not showing up on the board. It's an official timeout. That would be why.
So I'm going to be interested to see if they ever ended up doing something about that penalty, like I said, where you saw the jam ref call the cut and the OPR call the no pass. It's one of those things that, as a coach, I've been in those situations where you're frustrated and it's like you can't use no art. What's the point? Because they're already out of the box. It's all a wash, but it's.
I'll tell you offline about how that works as an official. But again, what do we see? Demel's on the jam line. Demel's the lead jam in second, but we have that is number 206 jamming for Kansas City, which is Bones.
Now Bones might have gotten into the back of the pack there, but no, I'm seeing the hand up. So
it's
2
points for Kansas, but nothing for Pikes Peak. And now we have a team timeout called by Kansas City.
Yeah, and I'm appreciating this from some of these. Now we had the penalty go against Jessica Boom on the one, but I'm appreciating these Kansas City jammers just playing it out to the end because literally every point matters right now.
So, and it does, because 2 points for Kansas City in that jam takes them to 133, 138 for Pikes Peak. So just 5 points in it. We've had another lead change. We didn't even notice we were watching the action that much. But a chance in this break to talk about Blood and Thunder. Visit the Blood and Thunder booth here for roller derby inspired apparel and accessories. Our motto is life's better on roller skates, or check them out online.
And Fox Rental proudly celebrating 50 years under the same ownership and providing the Metroplex with the best equipment to complete all events and projects.
So that team timeout has come to an end. And we are back on the track. So it's Artemis Huntress for Pikes Peak up against Skatel Attraction for Kansas City.
And Skatel Attraction, one of the few jammers out of Kansas City that's really been, not getting the lead, but does get it this time. Oh, and it's going to be a power jam opportunity now.
Yeah. So Artemis Huntress is in the box for the next 30 seconds. And we're just watching the action. Skatel Attraction using speed to split up the pack, break the wall, and pick up those 4 points.
Yeah, and also with the blocker advantage right now in favor of Kansas City, I say that it has finally the fellow blocker. So we will have 4-4 out here on the track now.
So this is the second scoring pass for Skatel Attraction, pushing out front. But Artemis Huntress is released from the box. But Kansas City have made good work with that 30 seconds.
Now it's just got to be a time game. They've got some points advantage here now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a time game for Kansas City. Oh, good presence to clear out the pivot, trying to stall out that pass.
But we have a star pass from Pikes Peak. It is now Serious Business who is jamming and approaching the pack scoring points. So Skatel Attraction calls the jam. And that is 8 points for Kansas City, taking them into the lead. 141 points, 138 points for Pikes Peak. So our 8th lead change of the game.
Yeah, and I like that for the Kansas City Serious Business already showed earlier in the game that is a strong jammer when given the opportunity. So you're not going to let that happen. Yeah.
So we're in a team timeout, which has been called by Pikes Peak. Again, good use of a timeout. Good strategic use of a timeout by Pikes Peak. Chance to talk about Resurrection Skates. Resurrection Skate Shop is located in Denton, Texas. We pride ourselves in our excellent knowledge and customer service for derby gear.
And don't forget Bond Skates. I own some. They're lighter, stronger, faster. Check out our new Park Stars to fit all of your park and lifestyle needs.
So 2 minutes 12 left in this game. 138 for Pikes Peak, 141 for Kansas City. And if you can't hear me, it's because the crowd are going insane.
And we've got the two jammers you'd expect in a situation like this. It's going to be DeZellum and Jessica Boom.
So it's DeZellum up against Jessica Boom. And it's DeZellum.
Absolute, just efficient move. One blocker, beat him, got lead.
But just half the track behind, we have Jessica Boom. So it is DeZellum hit out to the inside on the apex, is forced to call the jam, but it is 2 points for Pikes Peak. 2 points, that's 140. So now just 1 point behind. 1 minute 44 left to go in this game.
So this is a fun one. Is anybody going to take a timeout to try and reset the teams the way they want it, or are they going to let the clock roll? Or are they going to come into this? This is where the fun comes late in the game. I
was wondering, because the Kansas City coach was on the track, was he going to call for the timeout? And where everyone's looking, 5 seconds has been called. No, we go. DeZellum.
Oh, and DeZellum was in legal position forward of the jam line. It's gone to the penalty box.
And Jessica Boom picks up that lead. Given that lead on a plate by DeZellum.
And I was sitting here looking at the clock. I saw 25 seconds. I saw DeZellum that far ahead of the jam line, and I'm thinking, are they going to call a timeout? Is anybody going to see this?
And that's Jessica Boom, 4 points.
Wow. This absolute pristine game from both of these teams, and it's going to come apart. Yes.
That one mistake.
But that's what I'm saying. It's discipline. This is the discipline we have seen here, and that's where it happens.
DeZellum is out of the box and back on track, but Jessica Boom now has 9 points in the lead. So DeZellem out for initial pass.
Now the question is Jessica Boom going to play this a little more quiet, a little more calm, try to avoid any potential for a penalty here, and try to play the clock?
Well, she's not called the jam, so DeZellem now scoring points. Jessica Boom still in the pack. Both jammers are out, but Jessica is still 8 points ahead. DeZellem with a big hit puts Jessica on the floor.
Watching the clock now, eyes on the clock, hands on the head, and touches hips. Oh, wow. Wow.
So, what an emotional end to that game. 12 points for Kansas City.
We have an official review now.
Not a surprise.
No. Oh, no.
If I had to put money on it, it would be on the illegal positioning penalty at the start of the jam.
Well, I mean, it was there, though. I mean, she's a good 5 feet in front.
Yeah.
So of course, it's like the way it rolls with that. If you're not in, you can be, behind the line, anywhere you are within the given space, and you're okay.
But not in there. So so an official review. So 4 points for Pikes Peak in that last jam, 12 for Kansas City. So at the moment, 1-4-4 plays 1-5-3. So it all depends on what happens on this official review. The thing to remember that Kansas City are currently ranked in the WFTDA 104. Pikes Peak are ranked 90. So if Kansas City do get the win, this is a big win for them.
Well, and of course, situations like this, where you have these official reviews late in the game, should any extra play happen, it will be at the discretion of the head ref. Do they feel that the penalty that occurred, and it's pretty much going to have to be against Jessica Boom.
Yeah.
It should have been. It'll end up having to be a penalty going against the jammer to make the call off not be, a proper call off, because they should not have been given the opportunity to do it. That's really our only result here that could potentially give Pikes Peak any amount of hope.
And the thing is, 9 points is a lot to make up in one jam.
Very. Oh, well, especially now that we were talking about it last night with that close game.
Yeah.
Once you drop the thumb, now you're having to get 3 passes out.
But also the not only is 9 points a lot to get in one jam. This is the story. This is the game where it's been 4 points, 4 points, 3 points, 3 points. So you actually need 2 to 3 jams.
Well, and here's the crazy thing: here in the second half, not once has Pikes Peak scored 9 points in a jam.
Yeah.
Not once.
Wow. Yeah.
It's all the best they've done is 8, 2 passes.
So they're. It's a huge job for them to come back with a win, even if they win the official review and there's another jam. It would still be a huge ask.
But it'd be fun.
Oh, my God. I might actually lose my voice at that point from just the excitement and the screaming.
So was it worth getting up at 8 o'clock?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, up at 6 to be here at 8 o'clock?
Totally worth it. What a way to kick off day 2 of the Clover Cup here in North Richland Hills, Texas.
Oh, it's just like that moment. Just see the mic being out, and it's like, please grace us with your words.
Tell us what's going on. We need to know. Not want to know, need to know what's going on.
Yes, at this point.
Here comes the alt referee. So while we're just finding out what's happened. Yeah.
It should have been a yield, not a penalty.
We're just getting the results of the official review. Do I win money or a prize? Because it was about that illegal positioning penalty.
Got your food. Does that work? You have donuts.
I'll take a donut for that.
I still don't understand that, because I mean that's a clear-cut rule. I mean, you actually have to be where your position.
But they have nothing to lose by challenging that.
They don't.
So as a coach, you would do that. You would try and challenge that.
No, I would have gone, like I said, as a coach, I would have gone for something. I would have tried to maybe get some penalty on Jessica Boom there in the mix when we had here in turn 4, where a lot of that heavy body contact was. I'd have maybe said, okay, I saw the back block under the new metric. So therefore, she was no longer lead and would not have been able to call off the jam. Yeah. I mean, that's really the only way you're going to get that extra time out of this. But it's giving us a nice long wait, and the fans are having to wait to rush the track. So, like I said, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I do appreciate the fact that the skidding officials are giving this as just due. They're wanting to discuss it because, there is that, stratus of which comes before what, how the flow of things do. And truth be told, this almost would have been better potentially to maybe argue it as I did not field a jammer, and that would have been an interesting call. Wouldn't you say? Going on your thing, Dork Mistress, I would have said maybe I would have said I did not field a jammer, therefore I should have been given the false start legal procedure. The jam should not have been played. I should have been hit with a captain's penalty.
No, because the jammer helmet cover was on.
It was. I know. But I'm just saying that's the only possible argument for me doing that method to get an extra jam out of this.
Right. And we're just about to hear the results, so we'll just a couple of minutes of silence.
There we go.
Right, so the result of that official review, Pikes Peak did not win that official review.
Wow.
So, they've lost their official review, and the referees are exiting the track. That is the game.
It's one of those ones that if I found myself in that situation as the coach, it's a learning lesson. I would say potentially, if you're the jammer and you find yourself that far out of position, take the cover off your head and just chuck that sucker.
Yeah, absolutely.
take the legal procedure, take the penalty, put your captain in the box, and start that jam fresh without a jammer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
But what an incredible way to kick off day 2. So the unofficial final scores: Pikes Peak 144, Kansas City 153 points. Oh, all of the right. My problem is now we have another 5 games today. I don't think I have the energy to cope with this if they're all as good as this.
This is really informative. I have to commend the Dallas Derby Devils for getting these teams together for this tournament.
Yeah.
That's the real art of hosting a tournament, is getting teams that will give you these good games.
Oh, yeah.
We have been blessed.
Absolutely. That is confirmed as the final score. So, Kansas City Roller Warriors sneaking the win over Pikes Peak Derby Dames. I've been Dork Mistress.
I have been Speaker of the House, and I have been amazed.
So, coming up next, it is going to be Rocking City up against Panhandle. And that
this is a rematch of just a couple of weeks ago.
Wow. So, there's a lot to play for in that game. So, catch up with that one next.